Hello, this is Rips here, and I'm going to be doing a overview of the EVC Winter 2019 finals, which were between Outplayed and Mobarog. Um, because some things have happened in which people have criticized me because I criticized a player for his performances. I'm going to be going over the full four games that have been played in the series, including with drafts and from the game perspective, not only focusing on the player, but focusing on all the game in itself to try to go over the game, what I think went wrong, what I think went good, how things could have been improved, and to basically show my opinion on the games and what I thought of them after seeing them live. Um, so here, if you're watching the game, if you're watching the draft, we're going to be seeing the band phase, which is Nautilus, Gragas, and Syndra from Outplayed, and Arise, Leona from Obarog. So going over the draft, going over the ban phase, we see a Nautilus first ban from Outplayed, um, which is technically a not ban because normally when you're playing blue side in 932 has some very good strong picks, such as Rise, has Nautilus available, has Zaya available, has Casio could also be a strong pick available, Akali could be another one, GP could be another one, Ornn can also be another one, but it's more AFE, like I think he's better on 2-3 than 1. Um, And these are mainly the stronger first picks that you can actually take as a team. Oh, Syndra is another one as well, or Gragas. Um, and usually coming from these teams, I know Eka is a very strong Gragas player. I don't know if Energy is a very good Akali player. I know Symbos is a fantastic GP player. I don't know if any of them can play Ornn. I know Rice can be flexed by both teams. Not is a good pick for both. Casio can be a very good pick for both. Syndra as well. And so most of the champions kind of are shared between the teams. They kind of understood the meta. They kind of know how it works. And but banning the Nautilus away, I suppose they want to kind of destroy the Kai'Sa Nautilus because it's still 922. What teams do on red side is they ban Zaya away and they force the enemy team to take a strong flex pick such as Cassio, Syndra, and so on and so forth. And if the enemy does take it, they will end up taking Kai'Sa Nautilus, which gives them a very strong bottom lane pairing, which can't be contested by anything. Zarya being out of the question, they'll have to go into maybe a Varus and Kench. They'll maybe have to go into Ashe and Zyra or any stuff like that that could maybe match the lane itself. But it's usually not very easy. A Leona paired with Varus can also be a choice. So there are still definitely choices in there, but it's not as easy as if Zaya and Kai'Sa were both open. And so this Nautilus ban basically says you cannot ban Zaya, or if you want, you can ban Zaya, but we want to take it first pick and it's up to you whether to choose whether you ban it or not. Gragas ban is a bit weird. Again, I'm thinking this is because they want to go for the Zaya first pick here. That's why they banned Gragas away because they know that on 1-2 Mobarog is going to definitely opt into maybe the Gragas there if they leave it open, if they do take the Zayas first. And Gragas is a very good counter pick into also Zara Khan, very good disengage tool, very good jungler overall on 922, probably the best jungler actually available. Although not necessarily for these players, where Kema's listing is usually the one that he prefers. But Ekas definitely Gragas a very strong player, and I think Kema will take the Gragas for him because if Ekas takes Lee into the Gragas, it's a good matchup for the Gragas that he can still work around Kema. So then Mobarok proceeds to ban Leona away. The Leona's target ban against Darkrai, I believe, because he has shown a lot of proficiency with it. It's normally a very odd ban if you see the Nautilus here, but I suppose they know that if Outplay doesn't get their hands on an engaged on Darkrai, maybe it's gonna be a good choice for them. Maybe they want to take the Rakan, that's why they banned Leona, but that's a bit weird. Overall, I think it's kind of an odd ban, but it's a good target ban against Darkrai, so it still can work. Syndra being banned away definitely shows that they want the Zaya in there. They don't want to give Mobarog any opportunities. And if Mobarog bans actually Zaya here, if they do end up banning it, then what's remaining for OP here is Casio. Maybe take the GP from Stem Boss if they Dark Play it. Maybe an Ornn if it's possible. I suppose maybe a Kai'Sa and pair it with a Galio can also work. Like there's a lot of choices that can still go on Zenford's first picks, and I don't think Mobarog has responses are fantastic. Like you can definitely see them taking, I suppose, Cassio on one, and then overall responding with a GP and jungle, and from GP and jungle, I guess they respond with jungle and support, and then they force them to take a support here, or they get counterpicked, and then AD is gonna be hit, and they can probably rotate Cassio to bot lane. So it's a lot of things I can be working on here in the draft phase, and it's a pretty solid draft up until now. Uzikiana is a ban from Mobarag, presumably against Ekkas, and indeed the Zaya lock-in here for played, which is to be expected. Mobarag is going to immediately respond with a Lee, which is a preference for Kema, and we know that very well. And the second would be GP, I think. Yeah, no, it's Casio, yeah. They take the Casio away from OP. That's right, because OP doesn't really play GP, or I think they know that they don't play GP. So taking Lee Casio is very good because Casio is a double flex. It's flex for Aki, Kubi, and maybe even Symbols, and it could act really well. And now here it is the problem for Outplayed in their draft, where I think they got baited very hard. The Casio pick was not only a smart pick because it's a flex pick, but it's also Casio, which is a heavy disengage tool, into the existence of Zaya. And because Zaya kind of still on the table, Outplay could obviously be opting into it. And if you just take Cassiopeia into it, which is a very good disengage tool, very good zoning tool, it basically denies the ability of Rakan to engage as hard without getting chunked. Lee is also a good disengage tool. It's also a stronger late game jungler. And Outplay's response to this has been to take Rek'Sai into early. This is a matchup that usually favors the Rek'Sai because he can stop obviously the Lee. So if they meet one-on-one, Lee can't ever engage onto the Rek'Sai or he loses the one-on-one. But at the same time, Rek'Sai can't really go onto the Lee just like that. I mean, he can technically do it, but Lee will just run out. And unless Rek'Sai chases with a flash or is already 6 to chase in, then it doesn't really matter. It's still kind of a thing which is basically you play early game jungler, I play a better early game jungler, and I try to beat you in the early game. But the problem with LP here is that they've over committed on this and they've already shown their hand. It's a blue side Rek'Sai, and the main thing about a blue side Rek'Sai, if we want to take a look at it, is how does a blue side Rek'Sai plays? You can easily take red side Rek'Sai and play around the stop side, or you can take blue side Rek'Sai and play around blue side. Rek'Sai's ganking paths are very creative. Means he can actually just stand here and go over the wall. Means he can stand here and go over the wall here. So he has a lot of openings that can be created. If the bot lane of Mobarog would ever be pushed past this line kind of to here, then Rek'Sai can easily just go around, wrap around, and just go around. And then Mobarog has to have a ward here. But the problem is, what if their line is here? If their line is here and they stay around this area, then they don't have vision here, and then Rek'Sai can simply go this way, and then they'll have to have this warded as a potential can come in. So it's really hard to effectively play against a Rek'Sai as a bot lane when it's blue side Rek'Sai, but and usually into Rakanzai it's even harder. But what Moba's gonna do here is gonna be very smart to deny that, and we're gonna see it soon. So Rakan is locked in. And here Mobile is looking for the third pick. It's obviously like they have to go for GB here. I think it's by far their best pick. I don't think anything else in here would fit better. It's you're gonna get top laner. You can then ban top laners away. That could be GP. You can ban Irelia away. They ban Camille away. Something that maybe the Tara prefers into it, which effectively plays silent better. OP bans their Stana. They know that maybe this is a bottling Casio. Maybe they want to force a bottling Casio, and that's why they ban the Tristana away. It's a pick maybe that energy cannot contain that well with his normal picks. Ori ban here is very smart from Mobarog because it denies the Ori synergy with Rakan, and it's a very, very, very smart ban to put in place. And they end up banning LeBlanc here, which I think is a mistake considering what they want to do. And this is where Galio is picked in. So it's heavily emphasis on mid lane bans from Outplayed, where they want to hit Aki because they think that his Cassio is not as good. So if they force mid lane bans, they force Aki to play the Cassio mid lane, and that's in their favor. But what Mobile Rock does here is they actually pick the Galio. Picking the Galio allows them to kind of hide their flex continuously, because GP is obviously top, this is jungle, but Cassio can be either bot or mid, but Galio can also be either support or mid. So then you don't know exactly where everything is going. You can expect the Galio to be support because it's picked into Rakan, it's a pretty good defensive pick into Rakan. Um, it can defend really well into it and into Rek'Sai as well. So it's a really really smart pick that I think is one of the game winners of the game. Very very good. Um, into Outplayed's composition at the very least. And here Outplay comes in and makes the biggest mistake of the draft, I think. And they'll pick Vladimir here into GP. And with the Vladimir, they'll pick also as your top lane. So as your mid lane. So looking at this, it looks very bad for Outplayed. Just looking at this draft up until now, so what they have Vlad into GP top, which is a good matchup for Vladimir because Vladimir eventually will outscale the GP. So 2.5 items, Vladimir I think beats GP, and that's all he needs to beat the GP from then on. GP has a stronger one item spike, but Vladimir will have 2 items by then, so that's why he technically wins. And then he will inside, and then team fight is also more impactful. It's a free skill lane for Vladimir. There's just Saints in this lane, and he can maybe not have the prior in the early game, but it doesn't matter because he'll just be a scaling lane. Problem with this is you have a Rex on your team, and they already picked the Galio, which could be bot lane. Now, if they do move the Cassio and the Galio to bot lane, then how does this Rek'Sai actually attack bot lane? If he ever wants to go there, it's going to be very hard, simply because the Galio and the Cassio can just disrupt the engage tool. And so it's going to be impossible for Rek'Sai to do anything there. Picking Vladimir says we're going to leave top in on an island, we want them to scale, and picking Azir mid, who's also very scaling mid, opens up a lot of issues here for Outplayed. They don't have who to make the plays with. They don't have a mid laner that can play with Rek'Sai and force the maybe dive the ball in or force to make a play with the Rek'Sai in the early game. Because if Rek'Sai doesn't get anything in the early game, he's worse than Lee, and he's super bad as time goes on. Post 2 items, Rek'Sai is insanely bad. So you have to make something with him in the early game, give your advantage somewhere, but you don't really have where to. And the problem is that the Azir here is blind. They don't know if it's into Cassio or if it's into a different mid laner. I believe they think it's into Cassio because they forced his mid lane bans, but it's an assumption that's super strong. Also, one thing here, Veigar is open. Uh, what Mobile could do is just take Veigar on 5, and they put it into Azir lane, and it's a scaling matchup. They have GP into Vladimir, scaling matchup, and they have Cassio Galio bot into Zara Khan, which is a very good defensive into a very good aggressive lane, which I think Cassio and Galio can easily outscale. And I can easily defend even from the Rek'Sai ganks. So this is a super good comp already for them that scales super well. Cassio spikes at 2 items, GP spikes at 1 item, Veigar spikes at 2 items that are usually quite cheap as well. Whereas compared to Outplayed, who go Vladimir, Azir needs 2 items, he needs 2.5 items. Zayn needs 2 items to spike, but then scales progressively into 3. Vladimir scales progressively into 3. Azir scales progressively into 3 as well. But the problem is, so does GP. GP also scales progressively. Veigar also does the same, and it also scales super well with more time that goes into the game. Cassio does as well. So it's kind of 3 lanes that scale very well, but the mobile rogue have the better spikes in the early game. On the 1 item here, on the 2 items here that are normally not very expensive, on the 2 items that are normally not very expensive. So and they have really good defensive tools into OP's early game proactivity. Overall, Mubarak can just pick Veigar here and the game just ends because of that. Um, Veigar being a super good pick both into Azir, both into Rek'Sai, both into Rakan. What they end up doing is instead of actually just go for the Veigar, just go for the Akali, just go for something that is even stronger at the 1 item spike. So they basically reinforce the idea of 1 item spikes are stronger for us than they are for you. So if we just wait for that time, then we can obviously just stall even more time with that, get us to the late game, or get us to a position where it can win against you, get not to the late game, but to the kind of late mid game when we have an advantage over you, when we can force a 1-3-1 over you with Akali and GP, and you have to force Azir side lane, which is really bad. You have to force Vladimir in side lane, which you want to take him into fights. And Mobile Rogues makes much more sense as a composition. Heavy disengage tool, disengage tool. Like they have super good disengage tools and very good side laners that can play. And up until 2.5 items, GP wins the side lane. So up until that point, all of these engages are super good. Whereas OP plays into Rakan, plays into Vladimir, plays into Rek'Sai, champions that want to go in, that want to engage, and Azir doesn't really fit those champions. Doesn't really synergize well with any of these. The win condition for outplayed would be to just wait until 3 items, three maybe 3.5, and then look for a Vladimir flank. Look for a Vladimir to P and a flank from behind, and that's how they do it. Front to back is an option for them, but the problem is it's hard to front to back versus the zone control, the area control of GP, the area control of Casio. It's really hard. And while you outscale like Akali at that point, it's problematic. I think Veigar would have still been a better pick, but overall, I feel like Akali still works fine. I'm gonna skip to in-game. I'm gonna search YouTube once we get 6 minute mark because YouTube starts at 6 minutes. Okay, maybe that's too much. Maybe that's a bit too much. Okay, man, that's still a bit too much. Jesus Christ. Twitch, please. Alright, too much. Jesus Christ. Holy. Just want to see the game. Alright. So. Go into game soon. Alright, so it's just standard defensive positions. GP is very aggressive, but that's very good because he wins into Vladimir level 1. So you can just poke him down if he wants to finish the push. And then that really standard positions, good defensive wards to track out maybe a potential early good pathing by both junglers. Okay, here Ekas opens alone at wolves doing the standard Rek'Sai wolf into red into golems, gives you a very strong level 3. GP here is a huge aggressor, he knows the lane, how it works into Vladimir, and he plays it really well. Here they go aggressive, the Zarkon, but the trading is not really in their favor. I mean, they want to trade because obviously they know that Rek'Sai is going to be bought before the lead because this clear of wolves into red into golems is super fast. And he'll obviously come before Lee with red buff and everything at number 3. Problem is the trade was badly executed. But any trade is technically good for them because even if they lose like on 100 HP to in the trade, then it's a positive outcome because the enemy all they need to do is just drop their HP bars or force their pots or anything like that, and it's fine. The only problem with if that doesn't happen, these bad trades are super bad for Zara Khan. Because they'll have to invest Zaya TP to come back because Zaya only has 1 pot compared to 2 pots of Casio. Cookies also come into place, but you will still give up some of the lane. As you push in Akali here, which is nothing surprising, that's what happens level 1, and now they try to get level 2. They both get level 2 at the same time, and now the lane is much more stagnant. Lee skipped his Raptors, so identified that doing Raptors will take a lot of time. Now, what happens here, what Lee decides here what to take, basically shows what Mobile wants to do in the early game. And now Lee just normally just needs to defend these lanes. This lane should be fine by itself. He just needs to defend these lanes so they don't fall in the early game. They don't do any mistake here. GP obviously can't do any mistake. He knows Rek'Sai will play around both sides. Akali is the only one, so Lee just has to hover this side and defends Akali in a bot lane. And that's all he needs to do. He doesn't need to actually play aggressive because they just win on the item spikes themselves. By doing Raptors, he would signal that he wants to either do a full clear or he wants to stay topside and go into Rek'Sai's jungle and then do a vertical jungle where blue team takes this and red team takes this. But I think that's a bad decision for red team. I think they want to play normal horizontal jungling, and Leander saw that, and it's fine. And he skips the Raptors to do that. Letting Raptors open means he has an open camp around mid lane, which he can always do. And I'm going directly into blue buff. Probably means that that's the fastest level 3 he can possibly get in the game. He gets blue buff and then he starts overing this area and tries to control the crab. Whoever gets the crab, it's super good. Now the problem with the crab in there is that Azir will have prio in mid lane, and then Zara Khan should probably have prio as well, and then this crab will be lost and you'll give them the advantages. By securing the blue early, it means that even after taking the crab, Rek'Sai cannot really invade him into the jungle to take that because blue is not here. He'll probably also take Grom from it, so only wolves remaining, but going into wolves is really deep and Galio and Akali can easily show up. so effectively nullifies Rek'Sai attempting to maybe put Lee Sin behind. Um, so the pathing here is good by Lee. By skipping the Raptors, I think he does a very good decision. He could also take Raptors knowing that he doesn't necessarily need to do something in the early game. So technically, if he full clears, he'll be a level up on the Rek'Sai, and that'll give him an advantage. But this is 922, you have to remember. So the catch-up XP is still there, still helps out Rek'Sai a bit. So overall, he could have done both. I think this decision is a bit better in defending bot lane, but at the same time, if both teams were of higher skill, I think Lee Sin should have just full cleared and be up a level on Rek'Sai. Here the gank comes in, and this is a really obvious gank. They know how to expect it. Rakan comes in, only catches Cassio, and this is super big, very good sidestep by Click, and Click then channels the taunt. Xayah has to back out, he cannot hit, Aftershock Galio is unkillable, and now Cassio has free damage on these two targets. And Lee Sin is also finishing blue, getting 3, coming bot lane, so the counter gank is there. It's a bit late, but as I said, he can't really match the Rexa coming in. A very good turnaround, and Rakan dies because there's no heal on Xayah, because they have to play to TP. This is just how the lane works. Galio ends up dying, so it's a 1-for-1, but Lee's here, and that's what's important. He misses the Q, but Xayah flashes out of it, and that's super important. Xayah without the flash now means that the counter gank is highly volatile for Xayah, so, and he cannot make too many aggressive plays with the flash. So it's super hard now for OP's bot lane to get the advantage that they would have needed to get with this bot lane. TP here from Cassio and from Xayah as well. Galio comes in with they secure the Skull Crab. Galio comes behind, and now they force a play on bot side, but they don't know that this is warded. So they'll end up just skipping through it. They get seen, they get spotted, but they clear the pink ward, they put pressure on the map. Lee's putting pressure on the map. GP doesn't care about this. Akali doesn't care about this. Even if he's 10 CS behind, it's fine. And the Rek'Sai is spotted top side. For sure, he just wants to go to the crab there because he knows he can't take this crab anymore. So he'll just clear full top side. Lee ends up hovering around bot. I think Lee here should just go and clear camps. Honestly, instead, he looks for enemy Krugs, but they're not there, and he has to recall. I think this recall is a bit slow. Could have been a bit faster, but I think it's fine. The dive here is good because Xayah has no ult. Actually, the Xayah has no flash, but actually, I think maybe he overcommits with the Q. He shouldn't really take the Q. I think he hits Q and then he walks here and then he threatens to go with Q into it as soon as Galio comes in. Because if he takes the Q now, Rakan W's him and he loses HP. It doesn't hurt as much because he wants to reset anyway. But I think Rek'Sai here just goes into top side and takes his Krugs and takes his Raptors, and I think Lee falls behind a lot if he takes a Q there. I think he just goes there, threatens, and then has to reset ASAP to take his Krugs, otherwise Rek'Sai takes Krugs for him, which would really put him behind. See, he gets chunked here. They end up losing a few minions and a few XP from it, but I think overall Rakan is fine. Overall, I think overcommitted. The Dara comes in, steals his Raptors. Rek'Sai doesn't come in, Rek'Sai just prefers to recall. I think he should have just gone for Krugs ASAP. As soon as he sees Lee's on bot, just go for it. And Lee will end up getting the Krugs, fortunately, because of the mistake that Echoes did. Now lanes are stabilized for both. Rek'Sai retries again on bot. It's the only lane in which can work, but the wave is really bad for them. There's no reason for this gang to ever work because of this wave. Because OP has a bigger wave than Mobarok does. All MOBA has to do is step back to this line here on the tower and just wait there for the wave to crash in, and then call maybe dive is coming. Oh, but guess who's 6? GP 6. He has ult. Oh, so it's never going to work exactly. Galio Cassio is very defensive, super hard to dive with a GP ult on top. Rek'Sai is not level 6, so he can't really drop aggro with that. No TP available from either Azir or Vladimir. No TP available though from either GP or Akali. So in a sense, it's a good trade. The only thing that they do know is that Lee Sin has to be topside right now, and that he won't be here for the counter gank. But I think GP ult is enough for that. So I think MOBA just steps back and they fight the dive if anything happens. like this, they actually trade a 1 for 1. I think isn't really good. GPU comes in, clears the wave, but then again, I think they should have just stepped back, take that. Back call from them to do it. This is an overforce by Lee. It doesn't really need to show mid lane, doesn't really get much from it. Maybe just take some mana away from the Azir. Guess it's fine. He just needs level 6 now to be able to. If he would have done the if he would have just farmed full instead of doing that, I think he would be level 6 by now maybe, and I think on level 6 he can effectively just stay bot and counter gank it on 6. If he's a level up, there's no way for Rek'Sai to ever do anything. So I think he should just farm there for the level advantage. They only are doing Ocean here. It's a bit late considering they would actually need it earlier. Oh no, they dropped it because the Zaya comes in. I was looking at the minimap because the Twitch was there. They want to end up fighting. Galio W wasted. He managed to get Aftershock. Kema's in a bad position. He gets caught out, but holy shit, what is this fight? Okay. Alright, let's switch to YouTube because it's faster. Alright. Much better. Put it on 2x. Alright. Okay, so here they want to start a Drake. It's an Ocean, so it's really hard to do because they would get caught out if enemy collapses into him. But enemy is slow. Here Vlad will stop lane. Both top laners on OTP no flash, so that's I guess okay. I don't know really why Mobile would have wanted to start this Drake here necessarily. I don't think it's forced. I think Lee has camps and he needs to take them. And it's better than just randomly starting the dragon. It's a 7-minute Ocean, which I don't think helps much. It could technically help Akali, but that's only it. I think GP is fine in top lane even without it. Only would help Akali, I guess. But it's still a late Ocean. It's 922 Ocean. Here Akali is on energy and he gets super low because of the Azir. The fight is split into two front lines basically. So it's this front line which is the jungle and bot laners, this one with the mid laners. Here Akali threatens the Azir, so Azir can't really join in with the rest of the team, which I guess is super good. Force him to come around here and then try to poke him around. In the meantime, Cassio is coming from bot lane finally and will be able to come here. This zone here is threatened super easily by the miasma from Cassio, so they can't really step up further than this. So it's really a fight in which OP can't really win. I think at this point they just have to run out through this way and just recontest maybe when they get level 6 on Zaya or something. Because if you take a look at this, Zaya has level 5. The difference is in the jungle though, where Ekkas has 6 and Lee Sin has 5, and maybe this is why they take the fight. I guess with also click missing W is it's a good fight. But they overcommit here. Rek'Sai gets caught. He misses Q. He just dies from Cassio damage. He doesn't even have time to ult, which I think is the bad part. I shouldn't have really gone con there. Maybe he should have sidestepped. But whatever. Cassio continues to fight here because she has double buffs. Akali rejoins the fight here. Azir rejoins first actually, but Akali threatens him. A very good flash down from Click, which ensures that Azir doesn't really out DPS. Means Kubi is just free to DPS as much as he wants. And this is the MOBA just killing house. Good realization, I guess, from OP that they can win the fight, but bad execution when ClickGG had the taunt, and then good reactions from MOBA to win the fight from Gubi and Click. Actually, Kema just what did Kema do this fight? Actually, he just stood alive. I think that's all he needed to do, just stay alive. Yeah. Yeah, I guess he turned with some leasing queues, and it's fine. Doesn't matter as much. Like the decisions were fine. Here, very good from Gubi to catch out Rek'Sai, and very good from Aki as well to stop the Azir from coming into the fight. Alright, okay. Here Rek'Sai trans red, but why? I'm not sure why he did that. No, that's weird. He had mid prio, but didn't have help. Good my opponent to understand that. The swap on Herald is also a bit early, but I guess fine. Akali has no ult, that's a big problem. Because if a fight for Herald ensures, then they won't have the Akali ult for it, which is pretty poor. Maybe shouldn't have invested it there. Good play from Lee. Slow kick overall, but the idea was good. Actually, could Azir respond to it? No, not really. Maybe he could, actually. Is it a mistake from Azir or no? I know when I saw this live, it felt super slow. Oh, it's a flash or jump. Yeah, okay, no time to respond to that. Crowd is up, they still don't fight for it. Maybe they wait for Kali ult to fight for it first. Because they technically did get the pick for it, but they didn't really utilize it. Instead they just hit mid for a bit. I think here they just can go Herald. Or maybe they wait for GP. Because Vladimir is mid lane, and so this means that GP takes a few plays to bot. So they can just still stall some time. It's fine for now. Until GP gets ult. Rek'Sai ends up showing bot. I think Lee can just sneak the Herald here, and nobody can really contest it. Vladimir shows on bot. Rek'Sai, he knows he's on bot, so he should immediately go for Herald. Wastes a bit of time, does crab, I don't think it's necessary. I think you just start Herald and do it ASAP. Yeah, he's wasting a bit of time with that. I don't know why he's not starting it. He knows Rek'Sai was bot. They see this here, so now they finally start doing Herald. It's super late. Very badly played by OP here. This key by Sun Boss. GP gets out. Overall has a free Herald. Wait, where's my water? What did I miss? Oh yeah, this was unnecessary again by Lee. Her mid lane is good because you have to take mid lane from Azir. You have to take tier 1 from Azir. That really puts him behind. Okay. Keep wasn't really necessary, I suppose, but they do get some plates. Overall, I think they have taken. They have one plus 3, plus 3, plus 4, plus 3. They have plus 9 plates. 2. Okay. Yeah, it's 3, 3, 4, but it's the already 2. The enemy team took 2 actually, so it's 32. So a total of plus 8 plates, which is a lot of gold. Now with Drake spawning up, I think they should be playing grounded. They swap up GP to top lane, which is super good. They don't really have vision around there except the pink, so they need to watch out for it. I don't know what Aki's doing necessarily. OP doesn't care about the dragon because they can't really contest it. They need more time, so they just end up going for top lane. Symbols falls for it. The TP from Aki is also unnecessary. The turnaround would never happen. Force, I guess, a TP from Zaya, but that's again very unnecessary. Puts them in a good position regardless because they can hit tower then. From Vladimir actually. So, in a sense, I guess it will work out. Because Zaya can just clear mid from Cassio and it's fine. They end up missing on some plates. And Mobarag is still playing aggressive. Lee doing dragon. They lose top tier 1. But it's fine because it's boss 14. And they'll end up trying to, I guess, siege mid. Ekas again trying to steal the red buff. They'll just handle it to him. It's okay because they have the top side control. And they're hitting mid lane a lot. And if this mid lane tower falls, it opens the game a lot for Mobarog, and it makes it easier for them to choke the enemies. One thing to note out is that GP has hit the one item spike, Akali has hit the one item spike, Casio is on one item and will eventually get either Allies or Mask. I think Landry's is better, obviously. So this team has spiked a lot here right now, whereas Vladimir is only on a Proto Belt and CDR. So, but he's level 10, so then he has 10 CDR from Descendants. He has 10 CDR from this. He has 10 from this. So he should be sitting at around 38% CDR, I suppose, considering he takes scaling and cosmic insight. Maybe 39. Azure has said Nasher, but I think he still needs one more item before he can do anything. Zai is very, very far behind right now, 30 CS minus on Casio, and not even the Essence River completed. Azure is minus 10 on Akali because of plays being made. Vladimir is up 20 on GP, and overall the gold score is almost 4k up in favor of MOBA. So MOBA is in a good position right now. They just need to start playing side lanes with GP and Akali, but until Vladimir actually can threaten to kill GP in the side lane, and while Akali still has the item advantage over the Azure. So this is what they end up doing. They send up Galio mid, GP top, and for 5 minutes they'll play like this until they need to reswap Akali and GP because they'll play around Nasher, and they'll probably look to commit to a fight there or to a pick before the fight, and that's how it works. And now they just basically will just try to starve out the outplay team. Rek'Sai is very far behind, so what they'll aim to do is to just gain control of this area. They take control of this line, so basically this is their map, this is MOBA map, this is OP map, and because this is the case, then they'll eventually choke out the Azir who holds here. Choking out the Azir, force him to back out. They'll eventually take the tier 1. Taking the tier 1 means that they'll be able to have access to the jungle camps, so they'll just try to take the jungle camps here. Taking the jungle camps means Rek'Sai loses a lot and he'll fall behind. Eventually in gold. He's up a lot of CS onto Lee Sin, but it's irrelevant at this point because he will not be able to farm anything since MOBA has the early game one, and we will just be able to free farm these, or the other carriers will be able to free farm these, and these two don't really matter in this matchup exactly because of the way the game is. And they'll eventually just shock them out, wait until 20 minutes, perhaps maybe see if OP makes any mistakes. 20 minutes, they'll be able to play around Nashor, they're forced to vision control choke, and easily they'll be able to either find a pick here in the side lane with Akali and then play with the TP advantages, or maybe play around TP advantages because they force maybe a TP to stop Akali from killing someone. Anything like that can go on. But they'll eventually just try to choke out the vision from OP, and OP will be able to will eventually have to face check. The only advantage from them is that they have Rek'Sai, who can technically face check super easily because of his borrowed Q and because of his tremor sense. And but that's kind of the only thing that they have. What OP needs to do here is because they know they'll try to overextend and go here, they should have looked to place a ward here in the middle of the lane. If they place one ward here, Vladimir can TP. The problem is they don't really have the items to fight yet, so they still need to wait. And even if this fight occurs, even with the Vladimir flank, I think they lose. So I think they should maybe look to do that around the 19-minute mark or 20-minute mark, and that's kind of the way to get back in the game. Other than that, I think it's really hard for them to do that. I think even now, if they play side lane, I think Akali can just force a freeze here on Vladimir, even I think that's the best idea for him to force a freeze on Vladimir here, and because they play around this side of the map, and she doesn't have TP, she can't really join fights, so they just force a freeze and then they watch for the Vladimir roams around here. Because until the 20-minute mark you want control around this area anyway, and then after 20-minute mark you want control around this area. You don't really need vision control, I think, for this tower because they'll eventually fall. But I think it works anyway. But if Akali stays bot lane and forces a Freezer on the Vladimir and Lee doesn't show on the map and just takes these two camps, and then or like whatever camps, and then just hovers around in his jungle or in unwarded areas, then it forces Vladimir to back out. And if you keep a freeze there for long enough, I think Vladimir is out of the game. And with Vladimir out of the game, I think OP has no more win conditions left. So if they do that, I think they totally choke out OP. And I think they can totally do it. But they end up not doing it. Rexay tries to farm as much as he can from whatever he can. Ruby's forced to respond here. Dragon not respawning soon, so it's a bit weird. Eventually GP comes from top lane to bot. I'll just do that. I hope he just tries to freeze the wave there. I don't remember what he did exactly. They try to look for plays here. I think they just need to get Prime on that lane. And it's fine. End up contesting the red, which ensures into a fight, which Momba wins, even if the fight was started by OP. And that simply happens because OP is just too far behind in terms of comp, in terms of cold, in terms of everything. Like the fight is technically good, Ekas has a good initiation, Vladimir has a good follow-up, but it's just the counter engage from Momba is strong with their champions, and even with the missile from Aki there, the flash from Ekas, it's still a hard win for Mobarog. I don't know if what they're doing here necessarily, because I don't think just sieging this tower is possible into Azir. Yes, it works fine. Okay, and now Baron is spawning up soon, so OP really need a ward for a flank, but I think Vladimir is too weak, still too weak at the moment. I think he needs one more item, and that's not very good. Just take the free drakes, which enable the Elder later on. Another win condition enabled for MOBA in case they do get outscaled. And they'll just end up on 3-1ing, forcing OP to split their champions, and I still think they can go for the freeze there. Because even if Lee doesn't show on the map and they can say he's bot lane, I don't think OP can actually just rush Nash with these champions. Like if you take a look at these champions, Rek'Sai, Azir, Xayah, Rakan, like Xayah is too far behind. Azir could technically do it, but he's also very far behind. So a team comp that normally can actually do Nash and finish it quite fast without any mountains, with their two primary members behind, it's just really hard. And then a GP ult can just destroy everything, and they will lose this fight eventually. So in this position, I think OP lost, and they don't have any comeback available. Like if GP just freezes there, it's over. Lee Sin does show on mid, and that's the problem. I don't think he needs to show mid. They go, they control the jungle. OP takes a bit back. Didara farms here. GP freezes the wave there, super good for him. Didara has to come back to show eventually. Now OP tries to make a play, and they make a play on Gooby, which is found out without flash. Really good play from Energy, or big misplay from Gooby, whichever one you prefer. Problem is they know Kema's top side, so the freeze doesn't work anyway. The GP will just scatters them around, and they'll end up trying to finally re-engage. They pick out Ekas because now OP has no ults on Azir. They're really far behind. I find it really weird to go J on only second, but I guess it was for this moment, I suppose. Good pick there. This is just a messy fight continuing where OP can't really gain anything from it, and nor can MOBA. MOBA realizes they have Nash here because the enemy doesn't have ults. They use the TP. They then re-engage the fight because that's the point of the Nasher, to just bait the fight. And now they discern their Nash and they easily take it. And from this point onwards, the game just is over because a team that 1-3-1s into a team that cannot 1-3-1 with an Asher on the team that 1-3-1s is just really unfair. It's really unfair. Also, I don't agree with item So I guess my headset wasn't charged, and I have to recharge it now. Mic is working. Alright, so back into it. Game is just over at this point. I think there's no way for mobile to come back into it, and for OP to come back into it, and mobile just secures this win. Overall, the draft was just too good for MOBA, and I think they played also, I guess, well in the early game. Or OP just didn't understand their comp, and I think their draft was just horrible, and there was no way to win it. I don't think MOBA would have won this game if they had the OP comp, and if OP had MOBA comp, so I guess that just happens. They'll just end up taking all the tier 2s, and the game will just stumble from down. I don't think there's any point in watching this game further on. I'll just look it to the end. But yeah, first game was good. I suppose. One of the things I have to note is them both being out of position in a situation there. Gobi as well. I think these are individual mistakes which you shouldn't make. I think you should realize if this would happen and why it would happen, and to not fall for it. But I guess it does happen sometimes. Have those individual misplays. Overall, really solid play from Aki and Click. Kema did well. The only issue I had with him is some overcommits. Like the biggest mistake he did this game was to be here on Krugs and to just try to have make a dive happen there, which I think could have easily put Rek'Sai in a position to carry fights nearby Dragon and to turn around and to give OP the time to scale. Even with their bad comp, maybe there was a 1% chance they could have done something. And Ekaz just didn't take the opportunity, I suppose, and it allowed Omba to just play their game plan. Yeah, my problem with this is that nobody's utilizing this wave here, which I think should be done. Wave management this series was pretty bad overall. I think first game was the best. I remember watching it, and I was seeing sideways around this area at one point. So I think they could have honestly just continued top. But I suppose they can also just take Drake and be fine with one inhibitor being taken. Okay. End up taking the farm. Cassio takes it. What's the goal differential? So Cassio is on 12k. Oh my god. It's 3.3. Mid is also a huge difference. Jungle is huge difference. Top lane is huge difference. It's just a very one-sided game. I honestly believe that the draft won it, but I guess they also played well. Can't really take that from them. And the win is super easy. Yeah, but overall I think the biggest difference this game was definitely the draft, and definitely OP shouldn't draft like this again. I think it was a very poor draft. Maybe the red side draft is better. But yeah. Alright, this was the game one. I'll let you, I'll go for now for a bit and do something, come back in a few minutes, and then I'm going to go over the second game, which should be in a different video from this one. Alright, thanks for watching the first game, and I hope you look forward to the second game as well.